all you've got to do to increase those razor thin margins is to do what you say you're going to do and to set expectations and deliver on or above them across the board. If you do that, you automatically change where you stand in the market automatically. And then you think, oh, it's always a price game. It's always the cheapest price. Bullshit.
Hello. Welcome to Outer Spaces, a podcast dedicated to empowering landscapers, hardscapers, and outdoor living professionals. I'm Joshua Gillow. My mission through this show is to create a powerful resource for you, someone who is striving to grow their company well past the $1 million line, but might not have all the tools and processes to do so. Here in Outer Spaces, we are passionate about breaking the chains of small mindsets and helping contractors just like you take control of their businesses and their lives. With nearly 3 decades of experience designing, selling, and building six-figure outdoor living spaces, I've made all the mistakes. Starting with $0 in my pocket, and through the grace of God and a ton of hard work, I now own multiple businesses that afford me the time with my family and the lifestyle I've always dreamed of. So join me as I share what I've learned along my journey, strategies, and other contractor success stories right here on the Outer Spaces podcast. Now, let's get on with the show.
Hello, welcome back to the Outer Spaces podcast. This is your host, Joshua Gillow. This is the last week that West Zermen is going to be with us from Synced Up, and we're going to dive deep into a subject about how razor-thin profit margins are forcing outdoor living professionals to rethink how they sell. Guys, if you're out there selling the way you were before COVID or during COVID, and you think it's going to work now, man, you may have to learn it the hard way. If you want to learn how to sell in this kind of a market and a post-COVID world, listen in. Hello, welcome back to the Outer Spaces podcast. This is your host, Joshua Gillow, and West Zermen from Synced Up is back with us here for the final week as we unpack how razor-thin profit margins are forcing outdoor living professionals to rethink how they're selling. Oh, I can't wait for this. This is going to be a good one. Wes, welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me back, Josh. This is awesome. These conversations are gold.
I appreciate it, brother. And you just have such wisdom to bestow on our listeners. And, last week we were talking about how to flip the script when your sales presentation is falling apart. Mm-hmm. Well, we know how to do that, right? We got to figure out where that intent's coming from. Is it to sell somebody or is it to help somebody? There's a big shift. Yep. You can't mess up when you're trying to help somebody. Yep. So this week we're going to refocus on how, I speak to a lot of outdoor living companies, landscapers and hardscapers on a weekly basis with Yes Express. And so often they talk about like, oh yeah, we made $1 million this year. One of my next questions is, all right, how much money did you bring home? Like what was your profit on that? Did you make any money? Because so often we get so focused on the front side, the revenue side, because it's big and glittery and glamory. We can go out to with our buddies and have a beer and talk about how we hit the $1 million mark when they've got like $6,000 in the bank. If they're lucky, or they're in their line of credit just to keep that $1 million going forward, right? Yeah. So what I'd love to talk about here, because there are a lot in our industry right now that are still trying to run and gun like it was COVID, right? When everyone was just sending us like leads like crazy. We couldn't keep up. I mean, heck, we were 16 weeks out for design just to get a design to you. So, and people were like, yeah, no problem. It's amazing. No problem. We were a year out for builds. It was amazing, right? It was a time that in 30 years of doing this, Wes, I've never seen anything even remotely close. Yeah. We didn't know what was going to happen with COVID. Like, I remember the day when the governor shut the state down, and I was like, so we're considered essential, right? So we can go out and work because we're outside. This thing doesn't affect us. And we're all sitting here wondering what's going to happen next, right? We were like, uh-oh, it's going to be the worst year ever. And then all of a sudden, it flipped. Like, who could have seen that coming? Money was cheap. Interest rates were, down. We had inflation was down. Everybody was stuck home, and they all hated their backyards at the same time. Perfect. All right, good. So a lot of companies sprung up in that time to meet that demand. They have no, prior track record in this industry, and now all of a sudden they're trying to facilitate that demand by adding supply. Next problem is interest rates have gone up. The environment has changes in the economy now, and with the interest rates going up, inflation going up, and clients could kind of hold their breath on an election year. Like, some guys are struggling right now because they're still trying the same old tactics they did pre-COVID, during COVID, which they worked great because you just had to have a heartbeat in a tractor and you were good to go. Now it's different. There's a ton more contractors out there trying to serve less of a demand. So how do you stand out? So I'd love to hear from you. You talk with hundreds, if not thousands of contractors, on a given time. When it comes to rethinking selling, are you seeing them change the way that they're looking at how they communicate with their clients?
Well, yeah, like when things aren't going well, we tend to pull all kinds of narratives out of the air as to try to explain why isn't it going well? Like, what is the problem? And, from my side, where we help contractors fix their numbers or know their numbers to price their jobs profitably, sometimes they come to us because they're, the $1 million business with $6,000 in the bank account. They're that, and they're trying to they're trying to figure out what's the problem. And so we help them know their numbers. And what happens is suddenly now we're the black sheep because they're like, I can never sell for that. There's no way, no how. Or they go ahead and try to sell what the know your numbers activities resulted in. And now they're coming back. We're still the black sheep because they say, well, now nobody's buying. I used to be able to sell all kinds of work at $60 an hour. Now that I know I have to charge $95, nobody's buying. I'm like, well, yeah, no kidding. You were selling at 65 because nobody else is, and you were that guy or that person that was undercutting everybody else that actually was trying to make a dollar. So there's all kinds of narratives that you can blame, my pricing is too high. Well, the pricing is just a mathematical thing, or clients aren't buying anymore. Well, how good are you at setting expectations and communicating and qualifying and vetting? Or nobody's calling me anymore. Well, do you even have any Google reviews? I don't have money for a website. Well, probably one of the fastest ways to get to the top of Google search is through an incredible Google listing profile, like a Google Maps profile, which is like, throw your photos on there, throw your hours in your services, and then like everybody that you rub elbows with, get them to give you a review. Like you can even get the ones that you did a consultation with to give you a review, get a review. Google doesn't care. Like, just get reviews. And basically the point I'm making is, sure, you can go spend 10, 20, 30 grand on an incredible top of the line website and eventually win at the SEO game. But you know what shows up above the top website in Google search? The top Google Maps listing. Yep. With the most reviews, closest to your service area. And that is free. Free financially. It costs you in time and in discipline and in effort.
Yep.
So there's a couple different narratives that people blame for this scenario that you laid out. But the question is which one is it for you?
Yeah, you're going to play a victim and be like, oh, things that used to work before don't work anymore. The economy's screwed, or because of the president, or because of this, or because of my local whatever, YMCA. I'm like, anything, like blaming everything. You can be a victim and therefore have zero control over the future, or you can be the victor. And the way you become the victor is by reframing what it is and look at it as an opportunity. Yeah. Not something that's setting you back, and say, okay, we have a new opportunity to rebuild and to rethink how we communicate with our clients.
Kind of like Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Instead of I can't afford it, well, how can I afford it? I can't sell it. Well, how can I sell it?
Yep. And how can I change the way I do things? Because what we've seen with, training hundreds of companies around the country is the one thing that never goes out of style is the human connection. Yeah. What does go out of style is robots talking for you and disconnecting and not building relationships, but just trying to make the fastest path to cash. That gets old quick, and everybody's tired of that. All these crazy filters and funnels and all that stuff. Like they want to repurpose or not repurpose, replace the human connection. And that is what a lot of companies are trying to do. They want to go build the cool stuff. They don't want to talk to the people that are buying it. And that's where you get in trouble, because ultimately the client is hiring the person. And the person has a company that can do the thing, right? So we got to get down to brass tacks and basics. When it comes to sales, what is it? What is sales? It could be so many different things. When I say what is sales, what comes to mind, Wes?
Well, for me, I mean, okay, in this context of Synced Up as a software company, sales is solving problems for people. In the context of a contractor doing outdoor living spaces, sales is making their dreams and visions for their property accessible. Like I'm making that dream a reality. Like sales is, what is that dream? Okay, let me help you execute that dream. Like it's not solving problems isn't really the right label, but maybe it's like, it's bringing your dreams to life. Like it's taking what you're visualizing and making it reality.
Right. You're definitely on the right track. If you get down to the very, very basic fundamentals of what sales is, It's change. One word. It's change. But here's the problem, Wes. How many of our clients and ourselves loves change? Who lines up in a long line for change? Like, I can't wait for things to be unfamiliar and uncomfortable, and I have to learn new things, and I have to try new things, and I got to risk. I've got to become uncertain. But sales is all of that. Sales is change. So we have to be the best guides we possibly can be with our clients, because they're going to be changing their backyard or their front yard, something around their house. So of course there's uncertainty that comes with that. Of course there's not knowing. We do this every day, but most of our homeowners, our customers, only do this once or twice in a lifetime. So there's no way they could possibly understand how much this stuff costs, right?
That is
so they don't know.
That is the thing with high ticket sales, like outdoor living spaces, is you're not selling groceries that the client buys once a week. You're selling something that they might do once or twice in a lifetime. And so you're kind of teaching people in kindergarten over and over and over and over and over again. Yep.
You're exactly right. And we can't blame them for that.
No.
So if you're a listener out there and you're so frustrated because everybody thinks that things should be cheaper, that's an opportunity. That's not a problem. That's an opportunity. Okay, we're post-COVID now. We need to slow things down, and we need to get focused on how we can add as much value, because people now think of the dollar a little bit longer before they get rid of it, before they hand it off to somebody else. So when sales we know is change, if that's the case, how do we guide a client through change where we can take the unfamiliar out for them? Because at the end of the day, Wes, what clients want us to do is take things that are completely, moving parts. You're constantly looking for certainty in the world, right? People are always looking for certainty, things they know that are going to be familiar each and every day. They go to Starbucks, they can get the same mocha schmocha latte every single day. They know it's going to be the same flavor. They know when they go to Chipotle, they're going to get the same salad bowl. When they put the same pair of shoes on that they buy every time, it's constant, right? They want certainty. But everything in our world of outdoor living is managing uncertainty. Right? We are constantly managing that, from coming up with an idea that didn't exist 15 minutes ago, and now it's on a design in front of us. I'm being crazy with the time, but you know what I mean? Like, now you have this vision. It didn't exist before. Now we have this. Now we show that to the client. We both want to agree that visual representation of the solution is awesome, that both you can build it and they love it, or you make adjustments until they do, right? So we're taking the unfamiliar, the uncertain, and giving it certainty. That's what we're doing at the end of the day. But if the client doesn't know that, or doesn't understand, or isn't guided well and just sold to, this is where things get to be really choppy for a client. It's important. We're taking the uncertain world and we're creating certainty. We need to do that through a process, through step by step. Yeah. As the client starts to feel that change coming on and that anxiety come up inside of them because they don't know what's coming next, because as a contractor or as a professional, you aren't telling them what's coming next. You're not setting the next expectation for them. Like, okay, guys, it's going to take 2 weeks to get this design done. We'll give you a call when it's done. And then 2 weeks comes and goes, and they're like, all right, great. I haven't heard from Wes. I'm like, where is he? He said 2 weeks. And it's almost springtime now, and 2 weeks. So they build up. Then all of a sudden the wife's like, honey, have you heard anything from Wes? I mean, this design is supposed to be done last week. I'll give him a call. I'll give him a couple more days. Maybe Wes will pull through. Next thing you know, it's 3 weeks. And they're like, what the hell? So now they're starting to build up this resentment of you because you told them 2 weeks. Yeah. But you're a busy guy and you forgot because you tell everybody 2 weeks. Next thing you know, right? Like you've seen the movie. Anyway, point is, pretty soon they get so ramped up and revved up because their spouses are complaining and fighting because they want to get this done, and you're not doing what you're just another damn contractor not getting it done on time. Yep. The next thing you know, they call you pissed off. Dude, you said 2 weeks. It's been 3 weeks. Where are you? And you're like, why all the attitude? Well, dude, you set this up. The expectation you gave them was 2 weeks. Now we're at 3 weeks. And you're mad at them because they're giving you attitude? What if you told them 3 weeks because that's what you knew it would take in the beginning? What if you thought it would take 2 and you tell them 3? Yep. What if you thought it was 2 and you tell them 4 and you deliver it in 3 and now you're king? Yeah. Right? It's expectation. So if we know that change is scary for people and they're constantly looking for ways to find that you're not truthful, right? And we're all doing that. We're always watching and saying, all right, well, Wes said 2 weeks for this design. If he delivers it on 2 weeks, all right, he said something, he delivered. Truth is built, one block in the wall, the truth wall. All right, great. He said he'll have a proposal back to me in 7 to 10 days. 7 to 10 days comes by, you have the proposal back, another brick of trust goes in that wall. Pretty soon you have a foundation you can support a skyscraper with.
It just comes down to that skill of setting expectations, man. And like,
So
we're all
much.
guilty of the super optimistic or excited at the moment. We say what, I'm guilty of the same thing. Like, it comes out, like if I think it's going to take me 7 to 10 days, tell them 2 weeks and then do it in 7 days and blow them away. If you think you're going to be able to start in August, tell them September, and then start on August 15th and blow them away. Under promise, over deliver. It's
every time.
It's funny how we, in this series so far, we've covered 4 different topics, but we've kind of come back to a lot of the same principles in all of our conversations. It's just, they're all different angles, but it's just, there are basic principles to treating other human beings that are important regardless of what it is you do. Do what you say you're going to do and say what you're going to do,
Yep. Be a man or woman of your word. Yeah. Set expectations. These are foundational pinnings to a great relationship building. If it's not, the other person won't trust you. And if you already think that, knowing sales is change requires a lot of trust. Mm. And if they aren't finding that in you, think about it. I mean, how many times have you had contractors work for you over the years where you're like, they say something and they don't do it, or they don't show up, or they don't do it the way you thought it was supposed to be done? Like, this happens all the time. So people are programmed to not trust contractors. Whether we like it or not, that's the bucket we're in.
Yeah.
So think about, again, is this a problem or an opportunity? I see it as an opportunity because to stand out, it doesn't take more than to do what you say you're going to do.
Yeah, exactly.
It's so low. It smacks your ankles. It's so low. It's so easy to get through.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, cool. So if I just train my team and everyone that surrounds me that when a client asks for something and you give them the honest answer of when it's going to be and add a little bit of extra time to it, then it's important. If you've got a meeting to go out and meet Mrs. Jones at 3:30 on a Thursday, you better be there at 3:25.
Yeah.
Knocking on that door.
Yeah.
If you're there at 3:55 because you like to be fashionably late, then you're an idiot.
Yeah.
Right? Because you know what? Nobody thinks that's cool. That's just an ego problem you're going to have to deal with in another episode. But the point is that what's important is that the client feels respected, seen, understood, all of these kinds of things. And this is such an opportunity right now to either do that or get kicked out. You're going to be stuck getting the crappy jobs that clients don't have margin for, don't have enough volume to actually pay for the project. And then you get bitching because you got those crappy leads again. Well, dude, you're like everybody else. Yep. Everybody else tells people bullshit stories. They don't show up on time. They don't get the proposals out to them. They don't deliver. They don't, none of those things. Like, they're so used to such a low bar. All you've got to do to increase those razor thin margins is to do what you say you're going to do.
Yeah.
And to set expectations and deliver on or above them across the board. If you do that, you automatically change where you stand in the market automatically. And then you think, oh, it's always a price game. It's always the cheapest price. Bullshit. Yeah, it's always the most value.
The argument that it's always a price game is a cop out. It's not true.
Every time.
It's not true.
Dude. But here's the problem, Wes. When you've got 3 different contractors, right? Outdoor living contractors that show up and they have a bid. Mrs. Jones asks for a patio, a seating wall, and a fire pit. And everyone shows up with a proposal and they all have patio, fire pit, seating wall. Here you go. And that's it. It's just basic lines, maybe a little description, and they're handed either they're emailed or they're handed off to her, and that's it. She is then forced. If all the expectations and all of the experiences were similar, the contractor experience a little bit late, kind of the design was supposed to be done on Thursday. It was Friday or Saturday by the time I got it, like a little bit off on all these different parts. She now looks at 3 bids and says, there's no discernible difference between these 3.
Yeah.
We've given Mrs. Jones no choice but to pick the lower number. But here's where it changes. Again, thinking differently, looking for those opportunities. If you were the one of those 3 that showed up on time, that really listened and got those details nailed in. You know that she wanted that patio so she could sit out there and watch that sunset, like we talked about the other episode, right? So watch that sunset with a glass of wine on Tuesday nights because that's what she loves to do. That's what she did with her mother when she was a child, and it brings her back to those moments, and she wants that in a new space. And you are able to listen and articulate and show that in your design and through your narrative when you bring them up the ladder and you say, Mrs. Jones, you mentioned you wanted that patio. You know, this is when you're presenting your proposal. You wanted that patio so you could sit out there in the evening and watch that sunset so you can feel like you were when you were a little girl. Did I get that right? She's like, yes, it's exactly what I want. And Mr. Jones, you mentioned that seating wall. You know, when you were a kid, you always sat on stumps and you always got up and your pants were all dirty and nasty, but you loved that good wood-fired, smoky fireplace or fire pit area. And you want to roast s'mores and all that kind of stuff. It takes you back to your childhood. Did I get that right? He's like, well, yeah, exactly. And you guys wanted to make sure that you had a big open grass space, you mentioned, because you want to make sure the dog and the kids have plenty of space to run so that they can feel free and just frolic in the grass. Did I get that right? You have knocked them back, and now you start talking about your proposal. And if you're the highest price, do you think there's a high probability they're going to be like, this guy gets me? This guy gets me. The other ones are proposals. They're just like, yeah, you gave me a patio, a seating wall, and a fire pit. Yeah, you didn't tap into the emotion. Remember, 80% of decisions in this world are made emotionally. And if they're not emotionally connected, the answer is you've given me nothing but logic to work with. And logic is numbers. Logic is, all right, this is exactly what it is. If I have 3 bids that are all logically prepared with no emotional connection, then they're all the same. There's no discernible difference between them.
If you see
that's the difference.
If you see your consultations making a decision based solely on price, that tells me you probably haven't done your job.
That's right.
Because you haven't filled in the gaps. And so they have no choice but to make their decision based on price.
Yeah.
And
that's exactly right.
And everything you've been saying for the last couple of minutes is kind of connected to the thing that behind you on your wall. In order to become the 1%, you must do what the 90% won't. Or make it 10%, 90%. I don't care. Make it 80%, 20%. The bar is pretty low. Like, if you want your clients to not make a decision based on price, well, then you must be willing to do the things that the other contractors are not willing to do.
100%.
And it's as simple 100%. As that.
Now, we're going to wrap this up with this thought. When the average in the industry is 3 out of 10, the closing rate is 30%, 3 out of 10. Average. We've heard them down to 10%. 30%, some are at 50 if they're doing semi-decent job of asking questions, or they just have a great reputation or nobody else is in the area. The reality is 30% is the average. If we can slow it down, guys, my goal with Yes Express is to get every single contractor in our market, in our outdoor living world, landscapers and hardscapers, outdoor living professionals, to 75% or higher. And the way that happens, because it's possible. My students see it. I see it every day in our business. It is possible, but here's the secret. You need to talk to less people more deeply. So slowing things down. We're taught in this industry that it's a volume game. If you're at 30% and we can't fix that, because that's the mentality, we can't fix 30% closing or 10% closing. We just got to see more people and send them through a broken machine.
Yeah.
Right? Just push more through. If we had 100 people come through and I can get 3 out of 10, that means I need 200 and then I can get more. Yeah. Then I can double my business. But what if, Wes, here's the best part. What if you can go from 3 out of 10 to 5 out of 10 or 6 out of 10? No more marketing. Better capture in the middle.
Yeah.
Or dare I say 7 or 8 out of 10? How would that change if you were more effective with your time because you knew how to communicate?
If you are
slowing it down.
If you are struggling in sales, so you go to dump money into marketing, but you're not answering every phone call, you're not returning every phone call. You say, I'll be back in a week and it takes you 2 weeks. You say, I'll get back to you tomorrow and it takes you 3 days. Forget dumping money into marketing. You're just dumping money into a leaky boat. Fix the leaky boat, then you can dump money into marketing.
100%. Because imagine when you're at 75%, 80, 90% closing rate, and then you want to add fuel to the marketing machine. Oh boy, hold on, baby. Hold on. Wow. That's where it really gets fun.
Yeah.
But until we get to that point, until we fix that boat, until we fix that leak, all of it's for waste.
It is.
And you think about all the time that you're robbing from your family and your team, all that time you could be working on your business where you're stuck working in it because you're out there chasing down the leads because nobody else can do it as good as you when it comes to sales or it comes to run the business. That's the problem. When it comes down to it, we need to slow things down. We need to talk to less people more deeply. And then we're going to be able to open up this conversation. It's not a volume game. This is a relationship game. That's what our industry has it wrong. It's not volume, it's relationships. When you can focus on building those relationships, you not only build a higher value of each client financially and emotionally, you also build raving fans. So your marketing machine doesn't have to be nearly as robust because these people can't stop talking about you because you're the only guy that didn't just give me a piece of paper. You gave me hope. You gave me something to look forward to. You gave me certainty of a future that I couldn't see. You give me certainty through your design and through the fact that you're a man or a woman of your word. and you say what you're going to do and you do it.
Yeah.
It's that simple. It doesn't cost anything to do those things.
Nope. It's in the simple things. It's not like you can buy a thing or fix a thing. It's in the simple things, because you can buy a thing like your sales training. You can buy a thing like Synced Up and still flounder. Well, it's
of course,
because you're not doing you're not doing the simple things. You're not doing the work in here, in between the ears.
Dude, I want to wrap up with this. If you treat these different things like Synced Up or Yes Express, or any training for that matter, whatever it is, like going to the gym, like gym membership, right?
So exactly.
Right. You want to do a gym membership. You're like, oh man, it's the new year, new me. I can't wait. I'm going to go get a gym membership. So you go to the gym and you buy the whole year package. But all right, so you're like, I'm going to do this. I got this now. This is going to be amazing. You show up on Monday morning. You walk up to the door, you look in the glass, and you're like, I bought a gym membership. I showed up to the gym today. Didn't lift a weight, but I looked in the window. Tuesday comes along. Same thing. You look in the window and you're like, yep, I bought a gym membership. I went to the gym. Didn't do anything, but I went to the gym. This is how people look at some of these different trainings. They look at it like, I bought it, so now it's going to solve this problem for me. No, it's not how this works. The way this works is when you get that gym membership, when you sign up for Synced Up or Yes Express or any other training out there, you've got to show up, rip the door off each morning, go in and lift the freaking weights. Because if you want to look better, feel better, lose weight, whatever your game is for going to the gym or just feel better overall, you need to put the work in.
That's right.
The same with Synced Up. You got to put the work in. You guys made it super easy, but you've got to engage.
Yeah.
Same with Yes Express. Your mind is a muscle. We need to work on this. That's why we created Closers Club for after when our students have gone through the 7-week training. We get together and we rep out things. We're constantly throwing different angles. If you're not keeping your brain tuned in, you're going to be in a situation where, oh yeah, I went to the gym for a week. I didn't see the results, so it didn't work. Well, yeah, no shit. You got to keep moving. Your brain will always need more training.
Yep.
That's just how this works.
Yep.
If you want the result, if you just want to say, yeah, I'm going to throw some money at a problem and then complain that the solution didn't work. The question is, did the solution not work or did you not work?
Exactly. 100%. We want to go to a doctor and have the doctor fix us. And then the doctor says, well, I can give you a drug to numb the pain, or I can make these recommendations to fix your lifestyle, to fix the real issue. Which one are you going to do? Yep. And even if it's a pill problem, like a drug, you still got to take it. Buying it, buying the prescription and putting it on your shelf in your bathroom cabinet, that's still not going to fix it. You still got to take it religiously according to the instructions. So it really does come down to the simple things and to the thing that's behind you on the wall. To become the 1%, you have to do what the other 99% won't.
That's right. Absolutely, brother. Well, I appreciate you coming on here for the last 4 weeks. You've bestowed a lot of great information, a lot of great wisdom on us. And our main lesson for today is develop fewer, deeper relationships. And that'll take you everywhere in your business, as opposed to just focusing on volume.
Absolutely.
Because when you take the human connection out of your involvement, that's why we always talk about transformations over transactions. Because transactions is easy. It's disconnected from the human connection. But the problem is the human signs a check. And if they aren't emotionally driven to sign that check, they're not going to.
That's
or
right.
they're just going to pick the lowest price.
That's right.
So I love what you're doing over there at Synced Up West. You're changing the industry and the fact that people can gain that certainty in their numbers and their production rates. And then we can help them on the communication side, how to take the black and white out of their conversation and get it, into the conversation, take all the gray out of the conversation, because that's where the money's lost. That's really what it's all at. Because we want to see each and every company out there in the outdoor living space be super profitable.
Yep.
So they can build a business that they can walk away from and have a team running, that they can afford all of those things and to do travel or whatever's in your heart, fishing, whatever it might be, then you can do more of those things and you can help more people, but you can't do it if you're stuck in the old way.
That's right.
So if you're going to thrive in a post-COVID world, the secret is slowing down and asking great questions, because in that, everything changes.
And
Wes,
if you want to ask questions about your numbers and your budget, I just want to pitch this out there for your listeners as a little freebie. We do a thing we call the free budgeting consultation. And if you're scared of your numbers, like we were saying on the earlier episode a few weeks ago, if you're willing to sit down on a Zoom call for an hour, we can help you. We can help you shine the flashlight into the dark closet and scare away the monsters, meaning get out the other side knowing exactly what you have to charge and dispel all the gray area and become black and white. And I'll give you the link so that anybody that's listening to this can click on that. And if you Another thing I'll just put out there as an opportunity for everybody, if you want to get into a room with other people in the grind of business just like you, check out our Synced Up Contractor Summit. It's an annual event. It's October 3rd and 4th this year out in Dayton, Ohio. If you just Google Synced Up Contractor Summit, you'll find it. A blend of motivational speakers, business speakers, training and content around Synced Up. But it's about supporting the entire person, the whole business, the whole team, not just one channel of numbers or one channel of sales or just motivational. It's the whole package. And we're going to do a business spotlight as well. So we'll be touring J Squared's business. So anyway, I'll give you the links to those so you can put in the show notes. But I just want to make sure that anybody that's listening to this and be like, yeah, man, I'd like to have that. Well, here's 2 ways where you can start. Get the free budgeting consultation. We'll help you get your numbers straightened out for free. No commitment, nothing at all. Of course, if you want Synced Up, well then sure. We'll just take the work that we did in that free consultation and roll it right over to your new Synced Up subscription. No problem. But we're here to help people thrive, not just survive. And everybody's in a different place in their journey. We recognize that. And even if you're not in the mindset of buying a product yet, that doesn't mean we can't help you.
Yep. What did we talk about for the last few weeks? With clarity comes confidence.
That's right.
And the more confident you show up with your clients and your family, it changes the game. So get that flashlight out, guys. Go look in those dark places. If you are scared of the darkness, if you're scared of that closet or under that bed, and like we talked about on one of the episodes here, where we talked about knowing your numbers, your budgets, having that lined up, knowing your production rates, and then knowing how to communicate and creating black and white environments, not gray environments, shining the light on all those. When you can do that, those 3 things will change your life, your business, and everything.
Amen.
We can say that because I've seen both sides. I know Wes's seen both sides as well. And this is definitely the better path. It's going to take a little work, but I'm telling you right now, it's going to be worth every single moment. So, Wes, thank you for coming on, brother. And I'm so excited for your event. And you guys know what to do next. So see you next week.
Cheers. Thank you.
Cheers.